Hello darlings, thank you for joining me yet again for another instalment of my van project. And today it's more on the inside. This is hopefully going to be the fitting out of this area now. But what I'm going to do first is show you around and tell you what's changed since the last instalment. The generator's not in this box anymore, which is a good start. Some of the other bits have changed though. And then I'm going to talk you through the plan and what we're going to do, really. And working from there. So, without any further ado, let me bring you a little bit closer to the tank and show you what's changed there. Okay, so what's changed here? Well, firstly, got a new chock here, and that's to basically add a bit of a wedge for the tank to rest against and not slide out and not put all the strength, all the strain into the ratchet straps. So it's one bit of additional support there. There's going to be an equivalent on the other side, smaller on the other side because I haven't got the footprint available. And also, I haven't got the need to straddle this lashing rail, so it doesn't need to be as wide. So that's good. I put these side beams on. Now these are just acting as additional restraint, additional rigidity in the frame, but also they are the beginning of the shelves. So this one here that you can just maybe not see lurking under the gazebo there will be the base for the shelf that goes in, that will have the step up on it, and then there'll be another one to go in kind of up around this height ish, and that is for the gazebo to go onto. Now the reasons I haven't put that in yet is because I need to put in the ply for the shelf below, so I need to be able to fit that in first, and I won't be able to do that if I put the rung on the other side. So I need to get the ply measured up and cut first. But ply is sold in fairly big sheets, like 1.2 by 2.4 meters ish. So I need to kind of know what I'm going to do for the rest of the install first, so I can hopefully get the sheet cut to roughly the right size when I go and buy it from the timber merchants. So that's why that hasn't been finished yet. Last bit, I've also mounted and screwed this in against the bulkhead. It's not really load bearing. The bulkhead's only like 1 mil or 1.5 mil mild steel, but it will give extra bit of rigidity, and it really has for this frame at the back. So that will be transferred all the way through. Good. That's the water tank bit taken care of. Let's go bring you around the front again and talk about what we're going to do in the load area. Okay, so the load area. Well, let me sit down. So what is the plan? Well, roughly, I think I'm going to build up a platform off the top of these. So probably like that thick, like a bit of CLS timber, a bit of stud, and like 75 mil, which after it's sawn is bizarrely 68 mil or something like that. Whatever. That's going to go in here, raise up the platform, and then build some shelving over the top of that. This is going to be loud. I might have to take this out, I'm not sure yet, because see how it all fits in. It looks fantastic, I just don't know if it's actually going to be that useful for what I want. Although it could be, and I could use it as a way of mounting some shelving around it and making it a fixing point. I'm not too sure about that yet. But what I'm going to do first is go and get everything that I need to fit in the van out. Alright, so now it's a bit of time for a test fit, and I'm going to try and put all the stuff in the van and see if I've got enough space for it all. That's a good start. You know, if I didn't have enough space for it all, I'd have to completely change my idea of what I would do inside. But there's ample space. I thought there would be, but I wanted to make sure, and there is. So you can see here, I'm moving stuff around a bit, getting a rough idea of where it could go, measuring up some of the items to see where they must go, and then into starting the shelving. So here I'm cutting out a circle for the hole at the top of the water tank so I can fill it up, and there's a card in the top corner here for the inspiration of how I made that little jig.
So an issue I found was the using a spirit level here to get the levels right wasn't really working because the ground leans slightly one direction, and then I think the van is slightly uneven as well. So what you saw me doing there was laying a piece of timber across the two struts that I wanted to make sure are the correct height. I was making sure there's flat and there's no gap between them, and then I was just balancing it out from there. So after screwing down the battens to give my shelf the clearance it needed, I found that the piece of timber I'd had cut didn't fit through any of the apertures, even though it's the right size for the space it's going in. The apertures are smaller, so I had to cut that in half, but that wasn't a problem. That was just another thing I had to do, really. Here I am now creating the centre spine, I guess, which I'm also supporting through into the floor of the van. So I was pretty pleased with this. This is actually the second time I made this piece, because the first time I forgot you don't chisel all the way through wood because you'll splinter it. You're supposed to go halfway from one side, halfway from the other. The first time I didn't, went all the way through and took a massive chunk out the other side, which probably made it a bit too weak and didn't look very slick. Even though no one's going to see it, I knew it was there, so I had to go back and do it properly. Okay, so now I'm fitting this centre spine into the van, and you can see how its feet lock into that rung in the middle, and then I just need to screw it into the batten. That was easier said than done because I didn't have clearance behind it to get the drill driver in there or a screwdriver. And eventually what I needed and therefore bought was a mini ratchet set. I've got a link to that below. It is incredible. It's the best 15 or so pounds I've spent. I wish I bought that tool earlier. Just generally useful in life, let alone in here. But I'm delving into this now, marking up the plywood, and I'm doing what is called CAD, cardboard aided design. So I'm tracing around that on a piece of cardboard, then I'm going to transpose that shape onto the plywood for me to cut out with the jigsaw to go around that little nodule. Here I'm making the shelves for my boxes, but the thing I'm actually most pleased of here is the jigsaw that I've inverted and kind of made into a bit of a bandsaw or scroll saw. So there's a little card up in the top corner for the inspiration for that one as well. Now, from that camera angle, it's pretty obvious why this is uneven, but when I was standing on top of it, I couldn't suss out why it wasn't going straight. However, I put it on the floor and pretty obvious. What happened, I'd measured one side from the right place and one side from the wrong place, so I had to adjust one of them. It's just a good summary of how it went for the rear fit out. I had to do a lot of jobs twice, partly inexperience, partly rushing a little bit. But I mean, the whole thing was actually still really enjoyable. I felt like I did it to a pretty high standard. I did halving joints when all the wood was coming together at the ends. I pre-drilled every screw, countersunk everything so it was all flush. I'm very, very happy with the end results, even though it probably took me twice as long to get there as it should have. So this is another great example of having to do something twice. I didn't have enough space to turn the shelf up and over, even though it's the perfect height, I didn't have enough pivot space. And throughout the project, I didn't compromise on quality at any point. I didn't cut corners, so you know, I was doing it properly. I took this thing apart again, so I gave myself the space to move it up and then put it into position. Now, I'm really happy with the result. It's just I wish it hadn't taken quite as long or as much effort to do some of the stuff. Now, if you like seeing big guys force themselves into tight spaces, you should definitely subscribe to this channel. As I busy around just putting these last bits back in, and before you see the afters, I want to say thank you very much for sticking the whole video to watch this. It's been great fun for me to do. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have doing the work. This is not it for now. The inside isn't done, but it's done to the point that I can use it and then learn how to use it and see what I have got in the right places, what's in the wrong places, what needs to be restrained, which isn't. So that's what's going to be next for it. In terms of the project, well, the next episode is going to be the exterior. And there's going to be some compounding, there's going to be some scratch repair, there's going to be ceramic coating of trim and bodywork. So stick around for that. If you've enjoyed the series and the other content on the channel, feel free to subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.